Hi guys, for the looks like 6 of you that are online right now, this is the second round of webinars for today. I'll be taking your question live chat. Basically what this webinar is to present information, kind of questions that we've been getting a lot in terms of documents, visas, what happens when you get to Colombia. So I am here to answer those questions. To start off with, question of documents. We are actively collecting all of your documents, filing them, reviewing them. One important thing to note is that we are a small team. I personally have not been working with the documents. It's actually Gabriela, who some of you may have contacted. She is in charge of reviewing the documents, filing the documents. So you can imagine that the 10 documents that you guys are sending to one person, and 300 of you sending 10 documents to one person is a little overwhelming. So if you haven't had a response since you've been accepted, it's coming, I promise. These things take time, especially placements. So placements, that's another thing I'd like to address. Placements this year, we are taking preferences. If you have participated in the program in the past, you may have experienced that we used to not take placement preferences, but we are this year. So what we asked for were your 3 top city choices for Colombia. What those preferences mean, and I mentioned this in the Facebook group today, preferences mean preferences, not guarantees. I think that's important to recognize on all parts. For example, a lot of people are asking for Cartagena, Bogota, and Medellin. All great places, all great cities, and I would love to live in Medellin myself. However, there are about 30 spots in Medellin and more than 300 of you. So I'd like to remind you guys to keep it in perspective and realistic about your city choices and what the outcomes of your city preferences will be. Of course, we'll do our best to accommodate your preferences. However, you never know. You could be put in a city, a town in Boyacá, and really experience a different side of Colombian culture, which I think is always a special experience. I referenced my own experience when I was interviewing to be an RC last year. I said, Medellin or I'm not going to take the job. And I ended up in Ibagué, and I love Ibagué and would live there any day over Medellin now. So I'm just asking you guys to keep an open mind regarding placements, and hopefully we can accommodate all of you. Of course, there are special exceptions. If you have family in certain areas, if you have been working in a certain school and have participated in the program in the past, then you're more likely to get renewed in your city. And medical conditions. For example, Medellin has terrible pollution, and someone with asthma problems would probably not thrive there, and of course your safety, health, and well-being is the most important during this program. So that's kind of a bit of blurb about placements. A lot of you have also been asking about Bogota. Bogota we have on the list this year. That is new compared to years past. But you guys should know that the placements in Bogota are for a program that is, it's part of the program, but it's a different setup than what the public schools are. So the program in Bogota is for wounded soldiers, and we are looking for a very specific type of profile for that. It's a lead teaching position, and the person that gets assigned there will have to have a high level of Spanish and a psychological profile that will fit that position. So that's kind of what's happening with Bogota. We technically have a spot there, but it's not a spot for everyone. We do have spots outside of Bogota. For example, there are various suburbs of Bogota, for example, Chía, Punta, Mosquera, Cajica, Tiquira. They're all located close to Bogota, but they're not directly in Bogota. So depending on what you guys are willing to work with traffic and commuting, it is possible to live in Bogota if that's really what you are looking for, and commute to those schools. But that will be up to you to arrange transportation and figure out the logistics of that. Which brings me to my next point, logistics of region. You guys will receive an extensive orientation when you guys arrive to Colombia. And we will talk extensively about what happens in the region. But just to provide a brief summary of what happens is you guys will be in training from January 28th until February 5th. After February 5th, you guys will fly to region with your regional coordinators and with the members who are placed in your city. When you get to region, you are responsible for your accommodation, food, transportation. The first month is not covered by the program. In years not that long ago, but in years past, there has been incidences or cycles of the program providing first month's living stipends, but that is not the case this year. You guys will be completely financially responsible for where you live, and it's completely up to you where you want to live. There are no rules that say you have to live with other fellows. There are no rules about visitors or what kind of accommodation you guys choose to go with. But the support we do offer when you guys get to region is your regional coordinator, and they are going to be responsible for helping you guys find adequate housing that's safe, secure, at a reasonable price. So those are kind of my blurbs about placements and when you arrive to region. And if you guys have any questions, just chat away. I'm not seeing any questions yet, so I'm going to talk about documents now. In the past, we have unfortunately, with another organization, we have unfortunately had issues with document fraud. We have had issues with people presenting fake diplomas, fake insurance policies, and that's something we're being really vigilant about this year. We're doing extensive checks on a lot of documentation that has been forged in the past. So we know the signs to look for forged insurances, forged diplomas. So really, I don't think anyone is forging documents that's watching this transmission, but please, the people that maybe are super eager to come to Colombia and willing to do anything that it takes to get to Colombia, including forging documents, it really only hurts the program, hurts all around. The people who are really interested in presenting legitimate documents, they're not getting responses because we're too busy responding to people that have presented false documents. So from the program and all the actors involved in the program, we're asking, please do not forge your documents. And if you do, we are looking at your documents, we are reviewing your documents, and we are doing checks to see with your university, for example, did you actually graduate from this university? Did you actually buy this medical insurance policy? Is it a valid policy? So that's just something to keep in mind as this process continues. With these documents, we've been putting deadlines on when they're due. Why are we doing this? And why are we asking for so much? We need these documents in order to proceed with the visa process. So how the visa process works is that we combine all of your files, all of your information, passport number, your age, etc. We combine that all in a database that we have to send to Colombia Immigration here, Foreign Affairs, and they are the ones responsible for helping to produce a letter that states that the Minister of Education, in cooperation with LACUN, is going to sponsor this visa, and that they are testifying on your behalf that you're fit to come to the Colombia, you are responsible enough to come to Colombia, you have the coverage that you need to come to Colombia to keep you safe and healthy. And so with these documents, we send them to Foreign Affairs, and so then they so then you receive the letter from the ministry, and then you take it to Foreign Affairs, where they will issue a visa based on all of your documentation. So with that documentation and the letter, you can apply for the visa. So it's super important to have those documents as soon as possible, because there are some countries that cannot enter Colombia without a visa. So which countries are those? My best suggestion would be Googling restricted nations Colombia visas. Oftentimes it's many countries from Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, various countries from Africa. There are some countries from the Middle East that will require a visa. So if you have any doubts about whether you need a visa letter to come into the country, please do a quick Google search. lots of countries on that list, so I wish I could name more for you. But if you have any doubts, please consult with that search on Google, and please then make sure that you have all the documentation so we can get you your letter and get you started with the visa process before you guys board planes to come here. Also, we wanted to state that LACUN and the Ministry of Education are not responsible for who gets a visa and who doesn't. What we do is we help you get the visa once we provide the letter. We help you through the processes of how to actually apply for the visa, what you need to provide, and then we send it to Foreign Affairs, and Foreign Affairs decides, do we accept this person with a visa or do we not? To be honest, we have had some cases where people have been denied visas. And I just wanted to state that once Foreign Affairs denies a visa, there's nothing that the ministry nor LACUN can do. It's beyond our control. They are ultimately the ones who decide who gets a visa and who doesn't, unfortunately. We want everyone to get a visa, and so that brings me to my next theme, which is the importance of the visa process. So we are going to be sending an email kind of outlining the steps of how to exactly apply for the visa. It's a very sensitive process. I worked in recruitment last year and helped many people with their visa process, and it is a tricky process. Foreign Affairs is very particular with photos, your visa photo, with your data. If it doesn't perfectly match what's on your passport, if the information is just from the database from our program to what they receive, if they receive something different than what your passport actually is or your other documentation actually is, that's going to be a problem. Oftentimes we'll just send it back and say, hey, this does not match this, what's up? And then we can help you resolve that. However, if you guys are negligent with the process or don't follow these steps exactly as they are, and Foreign Affairs has to send back, no, that's not right, no, that's not right, that's not right. It has happened where they say, you know what, this person just does not get a visa, it's denied, and you cannot come to the program, unfortunately. So just be really vigilant about how the visa process goes, and really pay attention to the pictures. And if you have any doubts, that would be the time to reach out to one of us who are experienced in the visa process. We want, of course, everyone to get here and on time and safely. Which brings me to my next theme, arriving to orientation. Orientation begins January 28th. If you come to Colombia before, that's okay. If you're in Colombia, no worries. Just to clarify, your accommodation, we provide accommodation from January 28th until February 5th. If you get here January 26th, 27th, that accommodation is your responsibility. Transportation to the hotel is your responsibility. Food and housing is your responsibility. On the 28th, we assume those responsibilities until February 5th. So please be aware of that while we finalize these last issues. In terms of location of orientation, in the past it's been at a hotel here called La Fontana, and some of you may be familiar with the hotel. However, this year the orientation is much bigger than the years past, which is why there's been a bit of a delay in letting you guys know when the hotel, or where the hotel actually is. We're working really hard to try and get you guys in one hotel, but there are a lot of you, and hotel capacity is hard to come by here. So we're actively working on that, and of course as soon as we know, we will let you guys know. I know you guys are anxious to find out where you're going to be staying your first few weeks of Bogota, but please remain optimistic that you will have a roof over your head starting January 28th. Eric has asked, can you please have a quick touch on the placements in Bogota and Medellin? As I mentioned before, Bogota placements are very few. There are 2 placements for Bogota. We have one filled. We're looking for a certain profile for Bogota, and there are other placements surrounding Bogota that will be available. Medellin is also a city. It's probably the #1 requested city in the recruitment process. So how priority is going right now is the people who have been in the program in the past and whose schools would like them to continue, we are giving them priority. Of course, what we want to keep striving for is continuity in the program. A lot of the schools like that. They're familiar with the foreigner, and they would like to work with them. So, of course, we would put them in Medellin. There are various factors that go into this placement process, which is why some of you may not have received your placements yet. It's not just we're going to send you here, here, here. There are certain regions of the country that we like to take a little more care with, and so it's better to be sure and putting people in certain places than to be careless and not. So Medellin fills up quickly. So I just want you guys to keep it in mind that city preferences are not guarantees. Can you touch on the visa issues? Again, quick summary. If you are from a restricted nation, you cannot come to Colombia. You most likely will not be able to board a plane if you do not have a visa. So that's why it's super, super important to get your documents in now and have them all correct and have everything that we are asking for in one file for Gabriela. Then we can send the database to the ministry so they can send the cards that will be used to solicit the visa. On that theme of documents, I forgot to touch on. As I mentioned, there's one person that, mostly one person that's reviewing all of your documents. You can imagine how many documents she gets each day. And in terms of efficiency and processes, please send your files in one major file. For example, 10 PDFs combined in one file. Why do we ask for this? Sometimes people send two or three files and they say, oh, I forgot this one, and they reply to their own email, and then it gets lost in a chain. And so it takes us longer to go through and find each file. So that's why there's also a delay in the process right now. A lot of people have gone back to say, hey, oh, I've just uploaded this one, but then we have to go back and collect all of your other data. So as we humbly ask you, please, for the sake of efficiency and time, organize your files, name your files. For example, Maritza Gardner, medical insurance, Maritza Gardner, flight, Maritza Gardner, background check, and consolidate it in one file. It really does make life a little easier here, and you will get quicker responses if your files are organized. We won't have to spend time searching. I already have residency, so you live bank account in Colombia, participated with Hartford Change in the past. My question pertains to medical insurance and background check. In the past, I have used a background check for Colombia since. Okay. Gregory, or for anyone who has residency in Colombia or has been in Colombia and you're affiliated with EPS, my understanding is that EPS is sufficient. We just need you to be covered by some insurance in case something happens. You have to have some sort of valid current insurance. Background check, for those of you who've spent a lot of time in Colombia, a background check from Colombia is sufficient as well. If you are a foreigner and you have a cedula that is still valid, please let Gabriela know, or Saidi. The issue with that is, for those of you that don't know, once you get a visa, that means you can stay in the country for a certain amount of time. Once you get a visa, you can go to migration and solicit a cedula. A cedula is what shows that it's kind of like a mini visa you can carry around. It's like a driver's license, an identification card. That's really important here in Colombia. So when you have a cedula, it either means that you are a Colombian citizen or that you have a visa. So if you have a visa that's currently valid, that may be an issue, as you may have a visa to better say, you cannot have two visas at once, especially not a volunteer visa with a work visa. So just to let you guys know that if you have a current cedula that's valid, please check in with someone and confirm if you are Colombian or have residency, just to make sure that we're not applying multiple visas. because that is a huge red flag to foreign affairs as well. This broadcast is mainly for volunteers. So regional coordinators are going to receive a training starting next week, and they'll be covering all this information, but as it pertains to being a regional coordinator. What kind of visa are we going to get, and for how long? You are going to get a TPV visa. Recently, the visa process changed here in Colombia. They turned over, once the new year started, they consolidated the visas. And so you're going to get a volunteer visa that states that you are here to teach English. It's not a working visa, it's a volunteer visa. This visa will be valid from the start of the program, January 28th, until the end of the program, so the end of June. After that, we are not responsible for your migratory status. Your cedula, your visa, it will be canceled. You will not be able to remain in the country unless you make arrangements for yourself, either coming back on a tourist visa, finding a job that provides a work visa. But after the 6 months, we are not liable for your migratory status. Are there any other questions that you have about orientation, about coming to Colombia? I'm here to answer any questions. We have. Okay, Mac Anthony, can you be in the program with a different visa besides the volunteer visa? For example, if I have a working visa, can I be in the program, or I'll need to cancel it to the volunteer visa? So this brings up a good point. You guys are technically here to be volunteers to teach English. You cannot have two visas at once. That is just a red flag for foreign affairs, and it's just not permitted. So you either have a volunteer visa or you don't. That being said too, in the past, and I'm sure it'll continue this way, is that while this is a volunteer position, you guys are being paid a stipend to cover your basic living costs. But with this, it's nearly a full-time schedule. You have 24 hours of teaching, you have various hours of planning, cultural activities, and we really expect volunteers to be dedicated to the program and put in all their energy, all their time into the program. That's what we're bringing you guys here for, and that's what we expect from you guys. So with that, we don't allow people to have a work visa or a working contract while you are under participant agreement with the volunteers. It just creates too many conflicts. It can be overwhelming for you guys to both work and volunteer at the same time. So we do not permit you guys to work on the side or have a working visa or working relationship with a company while you're under a visa. Not seeing any other questions. I'll wait a minute. There's some lag time sometimes of when I receive the questions and when I can give you answers. So I'll just sit here for a minute awkwardly and wait to see if you guys have any written questions. When is the final placement coming? You guys should be receiving your placements throughout the remainder of the week. So don't panic if you have not gotten a placement. Like I said, it's a delicate process. We want to be putting people in regions that can accommodate to certain profiles. So you guys should be getting all of your placements relatively soon. We're really working hard on getting you guys placed. Residency status. In the past, it has been an issue, residency status. However, if you follow Gabriela's site, we can further investigate if with this new visa turnover if that still is an issue, but it is something that we should discuss privately. Can we get the insurance when we arrive in Colombia? No. So insurance is super, super important. I know most of you, well, hopefully none of you will have to use it, but in terms of liability for the program, you guys have to have insurance that covers you from the entirety of the program. So starting January 28th to the end of June. We need to show right now that you guys have valid insurance to the ministry. It's a way of demonstrating to them that we know that we are responsible for you guys, and we're taking all the necessary steps to help you guys remain safe during your time here in Colombia. So we need to demonstrate that to the ministry before you guys get here. There are lots of things that we have to present to the ministry, lots of plans, and if we don't have the supporting documentation to say that everyone's covered by insurance, then that's a problem with the ministry, and it could be a problem with your visas. Okay, Gregory, for your residency question, please get in touch with Gabriela or Saide. So, local insurance is cheaper than the international health insurance, so we can get the insurance quote. I agree. FAS is a great system here in Colombia. I've gone to the dentist many times for 15,000 pesos, which is considerably less than what I would pay in the U.S. So my suggestion is, and I'll need to confirm this with others, but we need to have you covered by some sort of insurance. So you guys can get covered by Colombian insurance, and your regional coordinators can help you with that process of getting affiliated with insurance. However, like I said, in terms of liability for the first couple of days, we need you to be covered by something. So maybe purchase a policy for a month, but then it will be your responsibility to follow up with us with your FASA. And if you don't comply with getting insurance, then you cannot remain in the program. It's absolutely crucial that you have some sort of insurance at all times. And we are currently working with negotiating with a company in Colombia that you guys can purchase abroad. Of course, we're still in the negotiation stages and trying to see if it covers everything that we are requiring. So be pendiente. We might be able to send some information out soon, but again, nothing is finalized in regards to local insurance that we can kind of connect you with. Any other questions? And by the way, if you're wondering who I am, maybe some of you have seen my name on Facebook. My name is Maritza Gardner, and I should have introduced myself at the beginning of the emission, but I am the new Directora de Bienestar. So what that means is I am the director of all of the coordinators that will be in your regions, and essentially I am the person that 400 people will respond to for whatever thing. I hope that all of 400 of you don't immediately try and get in contact with me, as I'm immediately in charge of the regional coordinators who you will immediately respond to. So I'm really excited. I've worked with this program before. I've taught English here in Colombia before, and I've kind of been involved in various positions. I worked in recruitment, I worked as a coordinator, and I taught English. So I'm super excited to take on this new role, and you guys will be seeing a lot of me at orientation. Okay, Mac Anthony, yes, we provide the flight ticket for the volunteers from Bogota to your regional city. We provide, or if you live in Cundinamarca, for example, Girardot, Punta, Mosquera, places around Bogota, or some places in Boyacá where it's economically more feasible, where it's easier, where it's more convenient, you guys will take a bus and we will provide that for you. First month housing. As I mentioned, we do not provide first month housing. When you get to region, your coordinators are going to help you with housing. So regional coordinators are hired on a basis of how well they know the city. If they've lived there, the expectation is that they know the city, they know hostels, they know hotels, they have contacts of apartments that you guys can get, and they are responsible for helping you with that. If you don't speak Spanish, they speak Spanish and they can help you with negotiating an apartment and making sure it's a fair price. But ultimately, it's your decision of where you want to live, how much you want to spend, and what kind of accommodation that you want. If you want to live in a hostel, that's great. If you want to live in an apartment, that's great. But it's up to you financially. You are financially responsible for your first month housing. And Philip, like I mentioned, we're still in the process of negotiation with the insurance company. So I can't provide you with a name right now because there's nothing finalized, and I can't promise that this will follow through. All I can say is that we're working on it and trying to help people who are abroad right now get medical insurance here at a reasonable price and conveniently. Can you name the insurance company in Colombia to register with, please? So like I just mentioned, if you're referring to what I was talking about earlier, that the company that we're negotiating with, I don't have a name for you now. In terms of other insurances here, FASA has various insurance group underneath the umbrella of FASA. FASA is just saying that you have insurance. Within that, there are various companies. So there's Sura, there is Salud Total. There are various companies that offer insurance to you. So it'll be up to you and your coordinator to kind of determine what's best for you. If I choose an expensive city like San Andres, is the stipend still the same? Great question. San Andres and Providencia fellows do earn more because it's the cost of living is very high in those locations. So yes, they do receive a higher salary than the rest of the fellows in Colombia. Can you talk to us about the salary? So the salary is 1,500,050 pesos. I think I said that right. 1.5550.000. I'm losing my English, I think. So it's a 50,000 Colombian peso increase from programs past. So you will receive that on a monthly basis. It is your monthly stipend to cover your housing, to cover your food, to cover your transportation. That is the only funding that we provide you. If you have savings, great. That will make traveling easier. If you enjoy a lifestyle of eating out all the time and going to the bars, it's best to have savings when you come here. This is to cover your basic necessities. And this is important to keep in mind. Your salary will be paid to you at the end of February. You're not going to arrive in Colombia and receive it right away. We have to check all the documentation again, and it's just a financial process. So please keep in mind that you will need to have enough savings to get you until the first payment in the end of February. When will you be providing us the invitation letter, as I am from Asia? We are currently working the invitation letters. Actually, a big batch just came through today, so we're working on getting those out to the people who have all their documentation approved. So they're coming soon. Of course, it's a really sensitive matter of time right now, so we're getting them out as soon as possible within the next few days. Orientation. How many days are we going to be in orientation, and will there be any certificate of participation? Like I mentioned, you will be at orientation from January 28th until February 5th. February 5th, you will go to region. So orientation will cover various topics: pedagogy, security, culture, what the roles of each person involved in this program are. So that's kind of how orientation works. Will there be a certificate of participation? No, there is no certificate of participation. However, at the end of the program, in the past, we have provided certificates of participation within the program and stating what you did with the program and if you completed the program. So that's kind of the official certification that you will get, but you will not get anything for orientation. Are there any other questions? Now is the time to ask. Philip, is the project renewable or does it end? Great question. So it's a government-funded program. We work with the Ministry of Education, which does change as the government changes. So as it stands, the program will run until June. After, if it continues, we're really lucky. If it doesn't, that's something to expect. There's going to be elections for the president and for various cabinet positions this summer. And so we're anticipating a great change in what the education policies will be, what the budget for education is. So that really all affects the program because, like I mentioned, it is funded by the government. So in this moment, I will say that the program will run from January until June. And if you receive any correspondence later in the program about it, great, but count on being here for 6 months. I have to return to my country on the 1st of July. Would it be possible to leave on that day? So the program will end in the end of June. The end date, I believe, is either the 28th of June or the 30th. So yes, you would be... Actually, this is an important topic. Like I mentioned earlier, once your visa ends, we are not responsible for your migratory status. So how it works in Colombia is that once a visa ends, you immediately need to either apply for a visa extension, which they are very particular about handing out. You can apply for an extension, but it's not guaranteed. So for example, we've had cases in the past where people have said, oh, well, I have a ticket out July 1st. Can I get an extension? It's very, very important to keep that in mind, starting from the program, how you're going to be responsible for your migratory status after the program. Another option is doing a border run. So what that means is you go to Panama, you go to Ecuador, you go to Peru, right when your visa ends, if not before, to avoid any issues in migration. Why? Because if your visa ends June 30th and you go to the airport on July 1st and pass through immigration and they see that you overstayed your visa, that's an issue and they will fine you. I am Colombian, but before I could prove I was Colombian with a passport, I was fine. They do fine people for overstaying visas, days, weeks. The penalty gets more serious for how long you overstay. Is Sai a recruiter? So Sai is in charge of our recruitment process, and she's also part of the pedagogy team. She is working in collaboration with Gabriela, and many of us on the team are chipping in, which is also a good thing, so we can kind of see your backgrounds and get to know you guys. What we hope with this program is that you guys will feel supported by everyone, regional coordinators, by myself, by directors, leaders. So yeah, she is a recruiter. Does the visa expire on the 28th of June? At this moment, on the top of my head, got a lot of information up here. So I'm going to say the 28th of June. Once you get the visa letter, I believe it will say the dates of the program and we'll confirm that information. So yes, your visa would expire on the day that the letter says. So in that case, would you consider a day or two extra after the interview? It's not a matter of us considering a day or two after the end of the contract. It's a question of migration. That is like I mentioned, that is a whole process that is beyond our control. We can't just say, no, let this person stay an extra day. No, it's the same for everyone all over Colombia. You need to leave when your visa expires or make other arrangements with migration on how you're going to stay legally in the country. Please, is Envigado cold or hot? Envigado, Sabaneta, and Bello are all suburbs of Medellin, and Medellin, if you've done your research, is known as the city of eternal spring. It's great climate, it's warm, It's between hot and cold. The only cold placement really in all of Colombia would be places in Boyacá, like Tunja, Villa de Leyva, places in that department. Is it better to book the return ticket on the 28th of June? Return tickets, what I would suggest is confirm with Saidi or Gabriela the exact end date. Oftentimes people buy tickets for this exact end date. In the past, to make sure that everyone gets out of the country okay and no one gets fined, usually you can work out with your schools, leaving a couple days before, kind of closing out your school year, and then you can have time to pack up and to get to your travel arrangement. So I would say maximum book your ticket for the day your visa ends. Of course, that would be risky in case you miss a flight or things out of your control happen. That's really cutting it close. So just keep that in mind, that the day that your visa ends, you absolutely have to be out of the country or have made prior arrangements weeks before to make sure that you're legally in the country and don't get fined. Any other questions? Okay, well, if you have to confirm with the travel agent by next week, ideally you will have received your visa letter, and ideally you will have followed up with Gabriela or Saidi like I instructed you to, and they can confirm that final day. Okay, well, if that's all the questions, then I will leave it at one parting note, that just to reiterate, placements, please be patient. Please, we know that placements are very important to you guys. I understand that it's a big thing to find out where you're going to live for the next 6 months in a new country. So please be patient. We're really trying to work on a system of placing you guys in the best cities that match your profile. And please keep in mind, please keep an open mind in terms of placements. If you really want to Medellin but got Cali, it could be a brand new experience, an experience that you maybe didn't expect, but it may surpass your expectations. So just keep an open mind about placements. Documents, please, please, please. One, we won't be accepting anyone to the program, even if we've said you've been accepted. If we're reviewing your documents and anything is forged, you are automatically out of the program. You are not getting a visa, you are not coming back to the program, and we will keep records of the people that do forge their documents. It's a very, very serious thing to forge a document here in Colombia, and it's even an offense, depending on the type of document it is. So please, just make sure your documents are valid, that they are not forged. We're checking, we know the signs to check for validity. We will be following up with your universities. We will be following up with medical insurance policies to make sure that everything checks out. I have enrolled to a health insurance but have not paid anything yet. I want to go through first. What do you think? Hi Philip, I'm not really sure what you're asking. Once you don't get a health insurance policy until you pay. So, and you must have a health insurance policy. Yes, you need health insurance before you leave. Again, health insurance is important. It's very, very, very important to have some form of health insurance before you come to Colombia. Okay, so in summary, no forged documents, please. And in terms of documentation, it's a lot of documents to keep up with. Please keep that in mind. We're still sorting out and verifying everyone's documents, so it's a big process, especially for a small team. So please be patient. We do read your emails, we do see your messages, but there are so many of you and so few of us. So please, we're asking for patience and respect. And please respect keep in mind the time here in Colombia. I know there are time differences across the world, but we do need our sleep sometimes too, and we will follow up with you as soon as possible, but we are only human and can only work so fast. So we're plugging away here in Bogota and working to make sure that all of you get here to experience this great program. I've been involved with this program for quite some time now, and it's really a life-changing experience for many people. And we have a lot of people that are interested in coming back, which is very exciting for schools, for students, for teachers, and for the program. So on that note, I just want to thank you guys for participating. I believe we have another webinar tomorrow at 8 Colombian time. And it'll be just taking your questions again and giving you basic information on how things will run. And I want to thank you guys for participating. And I can't wait to see all of you in Bogota in 10 days. I think the countdown is down to 10 days. Thank you so much. Take care.